Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razek at CMtrading. Today is June 4th, 2019, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the major economic events a day, earlier this morning at 6:30 South African time, out of Australia, we had a cash rate decision that came out. An important number. It's an interest rate decision. Major changes to the market we'll take a look at just a moment. But later today at 3:55 South African time, Fed Chairman Powell will be speaking out of the United States. That's an important event. Now, taking a look at the markets, in terms of Forex symbols, Euro spikes versus the dollar getting weaker across the board. GBP still relatively weak versus the dollar, though. But we'll take a look at some of the other currencies, including the yen and the Aussie dollar, as well as both have gotten much stronger versus the US dollar. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Now, looking at the indices, Dow Jones bounces yesterday. Not much, about 200 points. Still down on the day, but relative to its gapping down, it regained some ground yesterday. But stocks really still look very awful. Now, looking at the commodities, gold continues to rally to 1328. And oil trades sideways. Not much of a bounce right there, which may indicate that we'll have a further sell-off. Now, lastly, looking at the cryptos, Bitcoin tanked yesterday to support level where it's becoming a little bit interesting, okay, at this level. Now, let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD in a 4-hour chart. And, the Euro USD has been really flat for a while, okay? And we mentioned this last week and the previous week. We didn't really cover it. And then finally, once it made this triple bottom, okay, I mentioned this yesterday. This was a bona fide bottom. It looked like you wanted to take over it. Once it really broke above this area, okay, above this 1180-ish level or 1170-ish level, around this area, this is where it really showed you that it was getting stronger. And sure enough, even more so, once it went above 112-ish level, that was really the key place to really get very aggressive right there. And sure enough, we are trading all the way up to 1270. Now, this is a next resistance level right here, a 1270-ish level. Now, I wouldn't look to short this, and I wouldn't look to buy more into this, but I would look for a pullback at some point to really jump into it and get involved in it. Okay, so a nice little spike, but you saw this happening. Okay, the reason why you saw this happen is made this support level bona fide at 1122. Once it's hit that third level, and sure enough, it took it on the high side. Now, this is a big deal, okay, because this is really the first time we've bounced so hard on this as we're making some grounds back. Okay, now the real resistance level, next real resistance level is 113. 11-ish level. That's really where I would put a stop right there for a possible retracement. However, as this is correcting itself, and many times it does, there's usually a third bar that continues this, and this is a daily chart. So, we may see a continued buying, okay, into a third candle here as we continue today and then going into tomorrow. Okay, so just be aware of that, okay? But the bars may get smaller as we get to this resistance level. Now, jumping into the GBP USD, very weak, okay? I mean, this is the bounce that we had from 126-ish level to 68-ish level, 126.83-ish level from 126.20-ish level, 60 pips, where the euro has bounced more than 100 pips. So, for summer trading, this is really fantastic to be trading the euro and staying away from the GBP. It's just showing you how weak it truly is. And in the grander scheme of things, okay, if we do turn around, we may see this either, catching up back into this 125.70-ish level, okay, and testing this low again, as we're not out of the Brexit woes yet. Now, looking at the Aussie dollar, we also got a rally here, and this is what's so important. I mentioned this last week. We do have a resistance level at 69.90-ish level, 80-ish level, excuse me. And as we're breaking that right now, this may be support if it does retrace back to it. Okay, very important. All right, especially since this cash rate decision coming out earlier today is showing some life in the Aussie dollar. Now, it's gotten beaten up tremendously over the past year, and this is really a very important element. Now, the first thing that took us lower versus the dollar was the Japanese yen. Okay, we're trading at 107.96-ish level on a daily chart. This is really the low of the year. So if we break lower here, then guess what? We could get back to this 105 level, sure enough. Okay, so but it does need to break it with some momentum below 107.50-ish level for us to possibly test this 105.19-ish level. Now, coming onto the gold, as you can see, the bullion trading at 1328 right now, breaking all resistances. 1312 tore right through it, and now testing the next resistance at 1325. This is really the almost close to the high of the year, 1338. We're only 10 points away from that. So with that said, okay, as this has gotten stronger, this is something to consider, okay, as it closes in on this resistance level. Okay, it's also spiking above the RSI. So I have to see if this move has been exhausted and we do see somewhat of a turnaround, or it will continue further. It could be that it'll just trade in a new range, okay, with the upper limit at 1333, which is our next resistance level, and retrace between there. But keep an eye on this because this does have some momentum, okay, in either direction, especially if you're scalping it. There probably will be multiple opportunities during the day. Now, looking at oil, really dead, okay, trading at 53.33, where the rest of the markets are bouncing. This is really just not even a bounce, okay? Well, which may indicate one or two things, that we may go lower, okay? $53 a barrel is quite cheap for the price of oil. As we go into the summer months, this is really a very important time of the year for traveling and oil consumption around the world. So this may have a really big effect on the markets as we continue seeing this continue. Now, like looking at that Dow Jones, we did bounce, okay? We're trading right now 24,935, okay? A nice little bounce there, but I'd like to see some continuation there, okay? Because it hasn't really broken above it, as you can see in the MACD. I'd like to see it gain some ground, maybe above 25,000, okay? Just for us to have somewhat of a breather, because between April and now, we've retraced over 1,500 points, okay? A tremendous retracement in the Dow Jones, and it's really a reflection of what the stocks are doing. They're all weak. If we jump into Google, some antitrust laws right there, trading at $1,000 a share. If we look at Facebook, also really beating up 163 from 200 of its high from this past year. Alcoa also gotten beaten up a little bit at 2146, but we did bounce from our low of 2075. And Bank of America still dead, okay, $26.41, so not really bouncing. So we're seeing a lot of weakness in the stocks, and that's really concerning as we enter the summer months. But this is generally the case as we trade lower in the summer months, so that's something that I did mention earlier. Now lastly, looking at Bitcoin, look at this massive tank. Okay, this is Bitcoin. This is yesterday, and I did mention, just be careful if it doesn't retrace, right? You don't want to be trading anywhere between this area. Okay, and sure enough, it's back on our support line. Now this is where I would actually get interested in it to possibly buy a little bit, okay, in the anticipation that it's going to bounce. But just be careful because, like I said, this thing is very thin and it could, easily break 200, 300, 400 points, in a blink of an eye. So we are at the bottom of the range here, okay? We're not trading so much below it, okay? But not really breaching so much, below it. Well, so with that said, maybe a opportunity to pick up a little bit in the anticipation that's going to bounce and trade between these two areas. But keep an eye on this as this develops throughout the day. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.